Man, you come straight out of a comic.
Welcome to an episode of Straight Out of a Comic Book. Yeah, hey, yo, this is how it normally goes. Like, this is what happens when you get people together who enjoy comic books, who enjoy the blurred culture, who just loves all of this stuff and is passionate about it and will represent. And so we back at it again. And this time, I told y'all, because I'm sick of this shit. We own our DC stuff, all right?
Facts.
And so I made sure that I got two of who I call the DC ambassadors that they just ain't gave that check to yet. But these people here are going to be representing. And of course, we got CT, Fantastic Frankey, and then we got the blurred commander himself, Mr. Young Deuces. And we jumping into it. It's Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle time. Blue Beetle is out. Blue Beetle is in theaters. And I need to jump into the hot topic real quick. This movie cost $120 million to make. Mm-hmm. And it then only made $50 million so far.
It's gonna be a slow burn. I want to jump in real quick. I just got to jump in. I saw a lot of people trying to kill it for that. This movie is amazing. And the Elementals had the exact same opening. And then they went on and sold like 240 mil and everything like that and surpassed their budget. Because of this movie, and I think because of superhero fatigue, because of the track record that DC had, a lot of people wrote this movie offhand. But everybody I know who saw it at that point is changing their tune, and I do believe that this is going to be that slow burn that is going to pick up and pick up and pick up and pick up, and it's going to hit his budget.
I just want to address the notes that I got in the call sheet that said, "Are DC fans not showing up when we the only ones there?"
That's what I want to add. That's what I want to ask, because I'm not liking this narrative that they trying to push that DC fans don't show up. And that's why I wanted to have the two of y'all on here to really talk about that, because I feel like that's not true at all.
Yeah, so when comic book movies don't do well, it's not because the fans don't come. It's because the casuals don't come. There's not enough DC and Marvel fans or Marvel fans, comic book fans in the world to get $1 billion. It needs to be your aunt, your sister, to connect. We did.
God, I like her
watching it. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. So I need y'all to leave us alone. We do it everything we can. We fight for our lives.
Shout out to the black woman.
This movie had no promo, right? We're in the midst of the strike. And to compare it to stuff like Barbie and stuff like that, who got 6 weeks of Margot Robbie putting out the hottest fashion in the game, I couldn't get a car on hydraulics in Hollywood. Like, we weren't allowed to promo it. Zola wasn't allowed to promo it. Influencers weren't allowed to promo it. So people are like, the numbers aren't doing good. Gee, I guess fucking why? Because, and also people think that we should be boycotting movies. People think the strike means to boycott movies.
No,
right? Yeah, we're individuals with critical thinking, but the masses don't have that. So
listen, the reason they think this is because when you have a group of people, you have herd mentality. When you tell people this is why they took so long to tell people about aliens. They waited to a point where we don't care no more, which is great. But there was a time, if you would have said that, it would have been an apocalypse. It would have been pandemonium, because if you say, it's like playing a telephone game with 3 billion people. It's like, hey man, we out of sugar. We out of sugar to one person turns into the world is about to burn because of the sun once it gets back to me. So when you start telling people, hey, there's a strike, you can't promote movies, you can't promote TV shows, that turns into, oh, we can't watch that stuff. And it's like, why the fuck would that even make sense? But to your point, these are things that I have said for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah,
man, he did not get a chance to promote this movie. He didn't get a chance to go on any talk shows and show why we should love him outside of Cobra Kai, or the fact that he's even in Cobra Kai, and to be able to see the Cobra Kai people go with him to the premiere and make this big thing. And I'm gonna tell you this, man, purely off movie, that movie Blue Beetle, and I told y'all that the count was 6, and I'm gonna tell you what that count meant. I cried 6 times in that goddamn movie. Boy.
I cried.
Hey, bro,
6 times, man.
Emotional, bro.
And not even just the eye water. I'm talking about glory tears on both sides. I was like, dang.
When Abuela gave that when they were sitting there mourning the loss, and Abuela says, "We don't have time to mourn. We have work to do."
Yo,
Yeah.
Weeping
So,
in that
that was
theater,
it.
weeping. People in front of me was like, "What's her problem? What's going on back there?" And I was like, "Y'all don't get it."
Y'all don't get it.
I told Will this yesterday. I said that family aspect that Shazam was trying to create, Blue Beetle did it flawlessly. Oh my God. This felt like these actors felt like a true family together. I felt like I walked into my homie's family and I just said, yo, hey, this love here, like, yo, it was family. Like,
it was real, bro. I felt it. I felt it from, man, let me tell you something. When the father, who is this anchor of the family, is telling them like, yo, that's tomorrow's problem. Let's just enjoy it. And he's keeping the family calm. And he is the one to get them young bullets, bro. So him to get the heart attack. So as soon as he died, it was like, damn, I'm already fucked up. And then fast forward, we're all out of order. We will get back to order. I'm just going to say this part, then we go in your way. But when he appeared to Jaime, and said, it's not your time yet. He was like, what are you doing here? You know what I'm doing here. Like, this gave us closure for this boy to see his father and for his father to give him the courage that he needed, telling him, you were chosen for a reason. And he came back on some Super Saiyan shit. It was amazing, man. That movie from beginning, and I was the only black dude in the theater. Loved it.
He said, I lived to give you this message. I am here for you, my son. And you know what? I love the family so much that I was audibly booing Jenny. Because what the fuck did she think was going to happen when she gave the scarab to Jaime? In no situation was him and his family were not going to be killed or put in jail or put in imminent danger. She didn't know that the scarab was going to connect with him, but she said, here is this multi-million-dollar tech from this military private company. Take it home.
Well, so
you don't think there's a tracker? Like,
here's the thing that, like, as I was watching it, I was like, oh, I'm seeing these themes that they like that I wonder is anybody else peeping it. Like, that was that white privilege. Like, her mom, if you look at everything, like, even with the scarab, like, she treated the scarab like you know what I'm saying, like, all right, you work for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Even with giving old boy the power, she treated pretty much any non-white, if you was an alien life form, whether you was alien in the true sense of alien or alien in the racial term form, treated it like you work for me. So in her eyes, even with that giving Jaime the McDonald's box, she didn't think about the repercussions because she still was like, oh yeah, you know, hey, I'm just white, you know, I can do whatever. Like, that's
she was missing blonde hair.
She was Colombian.
I know she was Colombian, but I equated to her stepmom. It was still that white.
Y'all, I need y'all to let go of the shackles of countries. There are white people in Brazil. She's white. Okay, she's Brazilian, but she's white.
In my head, all she needed was blonde hair. If she had blonde hair when nobody had said nothing, y'all have been like, yep, that's exactly.
Well, here's the thing. This is what I agree, but I felt that I agree with our thinking. This is what I thought. They'll never suspect you because you just came here for an interview or a meeting. Yeah. You can get out without being seen. I do hear you guys' point, but I didn't take it like that when I saw it in the theater.
I get why she would say they never suspect you, right? Yeah. Because she knows that shit is tracked. She didn't run out and meet him outside, walk outside, I'll meet you outside. That's the only way I would have been if she was looking for him outside. She was going to link with him hours later.
So I will say the balance in that for both of y'all statements, though, is one scene where Jaime goes and they're trying to shoot at her. That lets me also know that you didn't fully think this through. Like, you really think they wouldn't come after you. So that lets me know to the point of, like, there is that white privilege, but also that the intention is, like, to CT's point, I gave this to you for that.
Even at the end, there was no remorse. She went to Theo. She was like, yo, I got your car back. And they were like, thanks. I was like, you know, they're all, you know, he's like, say thank you. I'm like, she ruined his fucking car. Why is this a gift? This is not a gift. These are reparations. You destroyed my house. This got bombed my car is all because of you. You owe me.
I will say that. Why didn't she rebuild the house? Why didn't she?
That's the first thing I thought. You got time to get motorcycles and shit. Why isn't this house rebought, bro?
Well, she said that they're going to rebuild it.
They were going to rebuild the house.
I was thinking they should have moved her to the old.
I thought they were going to move into the mansion, bro.
No, I think they want to stay in the Keys. My family wouldn't want to move to the mansion. They want to stay in the Keys. I was fine with just rebuilding the house, but all of this stuff she was saying, like, hey y'all, hey poor people, I'm here to help you guys. No, hey poor people, I owe you a massive debt. Let me
would it have been too offensive for her? Would it have been too offensive for them to move into the mansion and have a scene with them fixing it up? And this is why I say that. This is why I say
a bunch of Mexicans cleaning a mansion.
This is why I say
absolutely not.
Listen,
absolutely not.
This is why I say, and I'm not being racist. I'm saying this is how you set it up, because if she would have asked, hey, could you guys do this? It would have been offensive. But if she said, yo, would you guys, I would like to fix this house up, but while you wait, why don't you guys come stay in the mansion? And then they're like, all right, yeah, we can stay there. And they look at the mansion and they're like, need some work. And then she's like, well, it's an old place. And the next scene, they've taken it upon themselves to do it. So not them being asked.
What is that necessary though?
Here's how it hit.
What's the motivation behind that scene? What's the development?
So this is how it is.
Go ahead.
I got it, TT. This is how it hits. Same scenario that you said, right? But then you see her fixing it up, and then you see them like, all right, let us help you, because you obviously ain't gonna be able to do this on your own.
I like that.
It got to be that. It got to be not her action. It got to be them volunteering. Like, look here.
No,
I bet you it was
that. That's the same
need some love.
I bet you it was pitched.
Need to clean. Absolutely not. The only thing I want to see them doing in that mansion is putting up beads at the doorway. All right, that's all I want to see. If they come in and they say it looks whack in here and they're decorating, I'll let them go. But fixing up the mansion is a no-go. Them cleaning, no broom.
I didn't say nothing about cleaning. All I said was
what fixing up mean?
Fixing up means, did you see that fucking mansion? I just see George Lopez's character doing something to that room. That's what I didn't say that about cleaning. I'm talking about the structure. Y'all ain't shit.
Wait, was this? Is this scenario too far then? If they would have went there and then most of the keys came to come help build the stuff, and then they all start living there, is that?
That's
a little too far. To build this house. We can cut to the house being done. We don't need to see it.
We can't.
All right,
we can't have
meet me halfway. Meet me halfway. What if the house is already done in the next scene, and you just see one dude walking away and be like, whew,
no, I don't need to see them do work. They come up in the house is clean. It's done. It's done. I don't want to see.
Okay, hold on.
I don't want to see anybody with a hammer. It's done.
What if they were Cord workers? What if they were workers from Cord?
And what if they were Cord workers?
No, why are you obsessed with this? They
all right, what about this?
To the house. You cut to the house being clean. The grandma is lighting a rosary candle. One of those. That's the rock, so I can't pull it up. But one of these candles is getting lit, and that's it. I don't want to see nobody clean. I don't want to see anybody pick up truck with wood in it. We can assume that they have cleaners to fix it.
What if you off camera you hear somebody be like, they do the whistle? Is that okay?
Why? I just need to know the motivation.
All right, so Frankie, to add on yours, what if Cord cleans it up, but then when the family walks in, they like, we got to make it more home-like, and then you start seeing them bring in their stuff. Like they start bringing in their heritage stuff and start like turning it instead of just a regular mansion. Now we turn it in.
That's decorating. I could see. I'll let them decorate. Right. I'll let them decorate. Like I said, put up some beads. Because
then that brings the home aspect of like what Jenny was pushing. Like y'all have a home.
Awilla is praying. She's praying. She's walking around. She's throwing water. She said, "Let's make sure because the spirits in here are terrible." That's fine. Nobody's fixing them nothing.
But you already. But this what you can't escape. It's gonna be a garden truck out there. I don't care what you say. There's a garden truck.
Why
wouldn't it be out there? All that land. You know it's not fair. I ain't saying who doing
Why?
it, but we know.
Because it's already been established that this is a futuristic town. They got automatic robots cleaning up that landscape. She works for Cord. Why you gotta bring in?
The comment. That's the comment right there. The machines cleaning it up. If there were any construction going, that's what it dressed in Cord. Machines doing it. Can
the machine walk off set and say, "Whew, is that?"
Can the machine play music? Can the machine play music? Because in the atmosphere,
Kajita, start speaking Spanish.
And George
Yep. Yo, on a real, that's the first thing I thought after seeing that movie. I was like, man, I'm so in love with Latin culture now after this movie. Yeah. I wanted to learn Spanish. I still want to. Like, I'm about to try to get into learning Spanish. I even hit one of my Spanish homegirls. I was like, hey, can you teach Spanish? And she was like, I don't know. It depends on how you learn. And I'm like, will you please teach me? She left me on red.
So if you want to go to Duolingo, you straight out of a comment. That would sound like we're about to go into an ad.
That would be a great ad.
But what I really like about that is that much like the comic books, it's in that same vein where it's like you're being dropped into the experience. It reminds me of the first season of Luke Cage, where it's like get with the culture or get lost, right? Yeah. So sometimes they didn't translate what Abuela was saying in Spanish. You know, she didn't say anything in English. A lot of the other characters spoke in Spanish. They talked about like people being racist towards them and stuff like that. And it was like you're watching this experience. And the comic books are the same way. They always release, well, not always, but let's say for graduation day, they released the comic book issues in Spanish. And then the ones that are in English, when people speak Spanish, they don't translate it. You got to Google that shit if you don't know.
That's dope.
Yeah. It's just in Spanish. And Kajita speaks Spanish too, Jaime. Especially when they're like having heart-to-hearts. Yeah. And I love that's his love language. That's his connection. That's when he feels the most vulnerable. And I thought it was a perfect way to show how language, how family are all connected. Because like even when the Scarab went connected with him, fused with him initially, I was terrified for the family to see them react, to see how scared they must be, to see how scared Jaime was. And then his first reaction was to go back home, right? Like it was testing on him, but he was like, I gotta get back home. And then they took him back home. And that's the foundation of Latin culture. There's no secrets. There are, it's like,
and that's what we talked about when we saw the trailer.
Yeah, they're talking about food all the time. They gave us
a
on the dinner table.
This is what it felt like to me watching this film. Yes, to everything that Frankey just said. My cherry on top of that is looking at this movie and seeing something because, I think we all have the exact same knowledge of Blue Beetle from Young Justice, Justice League, Smallville. Like there has never been an iteration of Blue Beetle where he's ever fully merged with the Scarab, right? Yeah. What this film did was it showed that journey and it gave us the ending of, all right, now they are one. Yeah. And now as he speaks, the Scarab understands and vice versa. And now they're truly a team. It's almost on some Venom shit. Whereas compared to how it used to be, which was he never understood how to do it. And that was the comedy of Blue Beetle. They were never fully merged. Yeah. So Blue Beetle would just do something and he'd be like, oh, what was that? But I love the fact that they made it to where he is now in control. And there's one, like that felt so good to me because I'm like, this is story progression. Now Blue Beetle is a legitimate hero as he gets older. Because I was kind of upset about that because how do you say his name? Is it Xolo or Solo?
Zolo.
Zolo.
Yeah.
What is he? Thank you. So when you see Zolo play this character, you're like, all right, he looks young enough to play a 16-year-old kid, which is how old Jaime is. But when they made him 22, I'm like, okay, so he graduated already. How is this going to be? But he's still kid-like. I love that because now you show that this character can grow and be a true man. And then finding out that Ted Cord is still alive, it's like, oh, bro, I need the sequel ASAP.
And then to go back to
in the comic books, though, he is fully fused. Like sometimes Kajita acts up. Like in Graduation Day,
Mhm.
Kajita is on the fritz, but they're fused, and they're like connected and they work together.
Yeah, and so to go back to something that Frankey had said, and something that we talked about during the trailer, is that comic book trope of trying to hide your identity from your family. I love that this whole movie was all about one person in the family getting the powers, but us as a family approaching this and attacking this and addressing this and dealing with this. Because like I said, what Frankey said, once the scarab attached to him, Jaime, his whole thing was let's get back. And even in, like I said, we talked about how strong the Pops was. Even during that time, he's like, look, we've been through worse. We can handle this. Like he kept on saying that in different scenes, like, no, we gonna handle this. We gonna handle this. And so it's like even the height of the movie, it wasn't Jaime versus the bad guy. It was the family versus the bad corporation. It's like, I love that. And then the last thing I want to say, based off of what CT said, to me, we've gotten so much superhero movies that we've seen the tropes. What they did in this movie, Marvel most likely would do in 3 movies. At this point, like DC took a liberty of, you know what? Let's not give this whole he doesn't know, he doesn't understand, and give 3 movies, and then the 3rd movie he finally Jaime. It's like, no, let's connect that because there's still more to the story that he can evolve to. So I love the fact that the pacing seems different already.
You ready for this mic drop?
Uh-oh.
Now we all know that there are other scarabs, and this is what I love about certain intros of movies. If you see the intros of this movie, they show you that there are like 7 scarabs, and this blue one happened to come to Earth. One of the biggest foes for Blue Beetle is Red Beetle. I mean, Red Beetle and Black Beetle, and then Green comes in. Black Beetle. When I saw this machine steal power and turn into essentially Red Beetle, I was like, come on, bro. No, this is not how this is going to be. And they got rid of the character because they killed him and they killed Susan Sarandon's character. And I was like, oh, this is now one of my new favorite comic book movies because you didn't sacrifice one of his villains by making it like a copy and paste, like, oh, let's just create something out of that. It was like, he still exists on another planet in another universe, and we're going to bring him, but they did not cheapen it, and that made me an even bigger fan.
Yeah.
Even the reason why he stopped fighting, I was about to cry. I was like, this is anime level. It reminded me of an anime where they look into your eye like Demon Slayer, and they be like, yo, this guy's life is hard.
Let me tell you the story.
Exactly. That goes back to the fact that he's Latino and community, and just because in the same way that we saw in Into the Spider-Verse, where all the Black people came together to help Miles get out of that situation. I don't know this actor's name. I just know him as Guillermo in What We Do in the Shadows, but the
big guy,
him and the one who's supposed to be Red Beetle, they connected because they're like Latino, and they see how they're talking. They see him being called Jamie and shit like that, and they're like, you know what? Like, I feel you. Like, my life.
My name is not Sanchez. I was like,
facts, but that's really big. And I did want to address one thing you had said earlier, because Kajita and Jaime are connected. He bleeds into like Green Lantern territory, and that's what makes him so interesting. Because it then becomes what he can imagine to create to like stop it. Like sometimes Kajita is like, let me do this because you want to subdue it. But you even saw him. Did he like create the sword from like Final Fantasy? Like,
okay, I thought I was tripping.
Frankie,
22, right?
Frankie, can you move in like tomorrow? Like, what is your schedule?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say, Frankie, you're out of frame again.
No. You can't be this dope. I immediately thought Green Lantern. I was like, oh, anything he could imagine. This, like, I was being taught things that I thought I had already known, but your comic book knowledge far exceeds what they've given to me animated wise over the past 20 years. But that, continue your point, but that to me was so dope that they're teaching without making it seem like you're spoon feeding me knowledge.
Exactly. But that's how they bled into the lore and Jaime learning. And that's what I liked, is that they evenly paced him learning and letting us understand that Kajita is also automated, right? So wherever he faltered, she was gonna naturally. I'm calling her she. They were gonna naturally.
It's a she. It's a she.
Is she? Why?
Yeah, it's a
Yep.
she.
Shout out to Becky G for talking as her. Yeah, no,
we're not gonna go to gender politics of an alien.
Becky G was the voice.
Becky G was the voice of it. Becky G was the voice of it. That's why that's a woman.
So
we're not doing that. That is a woman.
Clicking Beard is the voice of Luffy. Is Luffy a woman?
What? Who's Clicking Beard? That's a very interesting name.
It's an anime.
Okay, so
anime voice actress.
Okay, so Venom is Venom a him or is he a they?
Is Venom a him or a they? I want to say they're a they, and that's why they was.
Well, I mean, if we're being political, we gotta wait.
Venom,
hold on.
Definitely in the love.
If we are being political, we gotta wait till they tell us. We can't give them that. We gotta let them tell us.
I definitely think Venom is non-binary, and that's why they ran up to San Francisco, got them a twink when it was breaking up with Eddie Brock. You talk about in the movie. In the movie, it was definitely non-binary at the very least. At the very least,
we are way off the rails here.
We were looking at a gay romance, is what I saw in that movie.
Turned on.
I'm sorry. I could talk about it all day. That gay story that we saw.
Wait, I wanted to. CT, you said something that made me think about something, and it's probably why they didn't go to the heavy. I don't understand this power, and I'm fighting with the Scarab because. And again, it depends. I don't know what they're going to do in this universe, but that is also a storyline that Cyborg goes through with the mother box and his tech. So, like, I'm wondering, like, if they would have did that here, and then at some point we get into the whole mother box saga, and you do deal with that, it'll be more of the same. So they might be saving it for that. But like, I didn't even think about it that way, like that. But yeah,
well, keep in mind,
the mother boxes
that's dead. That's gone. I want you to know that right now.
Even if Cyborg comes,
well, we don't know what Cyborg going to be in this universe.
No, this is what I'm saying to you. That's gone. There's no everything that was Snyder except for the 2 movies that made $1 billion as far as characters.
Well, hold on. The mother box doesn't have to be. Wait, hold on. The mother box doesn't have to be just only Snyder.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't invent the mother box. Like,
I'm not saying, God, you're jumping. I'm trying to.
Okay.
Y'all are becoming very people-ish. I'm telling you.
They so excited.
They're so excited, and you should be. I'm saying that the story that we know we're getting during the next 10 years, obviously after the strike, it's probably going to be 11, is not the story that he's creating. So Mother Box, definitely don't doubt that it will be mentioned. I'm talking about heroes like Cyborg. I'm talking about, unless they're going to keep Ezra Miller, stuff like that. These are all Hollywood political things. But storyline-wise, the way that James Gunn said, he's like, Blue Beetle is a part of my story moving forward.
Yeah, he said it's the start, right?
Exactly. So him, Wonder Woman, we don't know about Aquaman yet, and he's like, it's up to the Flash, which I doubt that they would even let him come back now. So everything's restarting. So it's like, we don't even know if we'll get anything. We don't even know if we'll get Hal Jordan or John Stewart yet.
True.
Let alone, outside of the green.
Aren't we getting
No. I'm talking. What's his name? Nathan Fillion is playing.
He's playing the OG
Guy Gardner.
Yeah, Guy Gardner.
Yeah, he's not playing Hal Jordan.
That's much better.
It is, because I was about to be pissed. I'm like, hold on, man. He's giving it up.
I'm actually way better with. I thought he was playing Hal. That actually is way better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see him as Guy Gardner. Oh yeah.
Okay. But I have to say, even if they do Cyborg, it's a totally different experience.
Oh no, it is. I was just saying, just that small part, that small part of this tech is uncontrollable. Like I was just saying, like when CT said that, I just thought about like Cyborg also goes through that, and I don't see them rehashing that twice. So,
but even with Cyborg, even if they redid that uncontrollable narrative, it's going to be completely different because it's not that it's uncontrollable; it's that it's insubordinate.
You're right.
So it's that the motherboard box don't like Cyborg. He's like, why am I here? You know what I'm saying? Like it's a hostile environment versus Jaime. Like he got a new car. He's trying to test out this car.
Like, Frankie, I got a question for you, Frankie. When did you get cute in life? Here's why I'm asking. So when you back up, your vast knowledge of comic books and science fiction, and I see the Funkos in the background. I'm sure you see the Power Rangers in the back of mine. At what point did you get cute where people were like, hey, yo, and you were like, oh, me? Like, at what point?
Maybe college. I don't
Got
know.
it.
I had peaks and valleys. I'm not gonna hold you. I had peaks and valleys. Yeah, I guess consistently would be college. But yeah,
Damage
I
was
had
already
peaks and
done by then.
valleys.
You already knew everything you knew.
I
by
mean, but
college.
I think it's more than my looks. It's just like my dad is really into it. So that
What?
was definitely how I got connected. Like,
He's DC
there
as
are
well?
pictures. He's a DC guy for sure, yeah. But when I don't want to say my age, but around the time I was born was the rise of Milestone. So, that's what really brought him to not the rise of Milestone, but the purchase of Milestone. So that was really what got him into DC and really brought me in. But also I live in New York. So like Gotham is New York City and
Facts.
that type of stuff. But yeah, we would go to conventions, and that's what conventions used to be. It used to only be the comic book artists and writers and like fans debating, talking to them, voting on shit, like doing things like that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing though, to go to a point that you made earlier where the fans are in these seats, the casuals are not. Here's the issue that I have with this though, because fans generate a lot of money. Like, we wouldn't have these collectibles that we purchase if we weren't spending the money. And word of mouth is the best marketing ever. Like, that's the reason John Wick was even able to get a sequel, because it bombed in the box office. It did better video on demand. So how is this film, word of mouth usually takes about 2 days. So how is it now Wednesday and this movie has only made $50 million? Everybody who I saw see it, I know, loved Blue Beetle.
So that's because Twitter, as much as people want to say that Twitter is just Twitter and is online, what Twitter has did is it's given a lot of people to be confident in they wrong, right? So right now the narrative is DC is trash. It's only Marvel, right? And so there's people who don't even give DC a shot, that they standing on it without even watching it. So what you and Frankey is saying is exactly the truth. What happens is our fandom, and the way that the world is now, our fandom is so big that we are telling the people that we love, yo, man, the Thanos is doing this and Batman is doing this. So now the people that we love who don't know shit about this, because they see how much we love it, they're like, well, shit, I want to be with you on this. I want to have this love. And then they get introduced to it. But then what happened was, now the people that we love, we didn't introduce them to our world. So now they feel a little bit more confident, and they like, oh, well, I'm also with Twitter. DC's trash. And so as much as we like, yo, man, this is bringing DC back. Yo, this is a good start. They like, well, but Twitter told me DC's trash, and now they taking a hard stance. And it's like, we in a weird space where Twitter has infiltrated real life people's thinking, and now they just standing on like, oh, well, this is what they said, so now this is what it is. And it's like, no, change that shit. Where us as comic book heads, we know that. We know a bad run doesn't mean the end of a franchise. Right. We know that a bad run is just a bad run. But wait until we get somebody that fuck with it, like James Gunn. So that's how I feel.
But it also it reflects that too, because what I noticed was this movie did not get as many theater openings as Barbie did. Like, when I went to go purchase my ticket, if you notice, like, normally they'll have like it for every hour to show. Blue Beetle did not get that. And so I don't know if that's from DC side or what, but I noticed, I was like, yo, it did not have as many theater openings as a Barbie did. And I'm just like, yo, why is that? Why did it get limited?
I mean, Barbie was Warner Brothers, like, that makes sense, right? Barbie was like their what's the word? Like their signature for the year. So they would, of course, like release that in every single theater, versus Blue Beetle, who by the time they were ready to release, they knew because of the strike, they wouldn't be getting any promos. So like it would make sense for them to reduce the amount of theaters to cut that cost down. And that being said, beyond Twitter, we're not talking about it. And that's what I mean, right? The influencers who we had a lot of, we not review quitters, but we not breaking down that movie. Why do people want to watch that movie if we all not talking about it?
Well, the only reason I'm not talking about that movie and a couple other movies is because obviously I'm in, the actors union and, writers on all of that stuff. But as a social media content creator, I'm like, this is breaking the rules if I do this, but I want to. You know what I mean?
I want to say there's so much that I want to say about this movie, and because I'm trying to be in this industry, I'm just like, I don't want to seem like the scab. So it's like it's a lot of inside that's fucking with it that we're trying to find that path. But like I also like. I feel like also Warner, like they also didn't have faith in it. So one thing that I start trying to like gauge is like seeing like how things flow, like promo things that happened before. What threw me off where I was like, I feel like they don't even have faith in this. I don't know if it happened in your theater, but in my theater, this is a DC property. I get it that it's supposed to be family and everything like that, and it has a little bit of edge, but it's still family. And the trailers was like Paw Patrol, and then they showed The Nun too. And I said, I feel like this does not go with the theme of this movie. I don't know if they did that.
They threw a Google commercial in the trailers. I ain't never seen a regular commercial in the line of movie trailers ever in my life.
Kids was crying. Kids was boo-hoo crying before the movie even started because of that Nun trailer. And I said, this feels like it's not connected. Show me other family stuff. I felt like the powers that be, even the reporting. I didn't see any like James Gunn and people went harder for the Flash than I saw other people speaking out for Blue Beetle, and I'm like, why? Yeah. Like I didn't see no big major ad like Blue Beetle.
That go back to Frankey though, because that shit costs a lot of money, and they was trying to make that back. Blue Beetle cost 120 to make, and they made 50 here. So if it go worldwide, they can at least make it back. Flash cost a fuck ton of money.
Yeah. But also getting back to the movie, I definitely want to see. I want to know Bella's backstory. I want to see her going against the communists and everything that she was a soldier, bro. The way she had that rail gun going. I mean, that machine gun going.
The point of that is to research it yourself.
I know.
That's why they mentioned it. Like
I didn't know. I definitely did.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, as a character, she jumped off the screen so much that I also would like to see more on screen of her.
I was terrified she was gonna get a heart attack too. I was like, y'all got a history of heart disease.
Hopefully, what we learned from Black Panther 2 is the difference in storytelling. Because in Black Panther 2, we were like, all right, Chadwick's gone. There's no way they're gonna get rid of it. Oh my God, they got rid of that. Like that. Threw everybody off, but
unnecessarily too.
Unnecessarily, she did not need to go. But that movie, Blue Beetle, seeing, and this goes to your point, Frankie, about researching things. The level of Latin love this film was made with. This goes to show you, if you just allow people to do the projects that they want to do, it will come out perfectly. Because when you look at a Black film or a Latin film or an Asian film, and it's just our people, it's amazing. But once they try to say, oh, you got to add this, you got to serve this community and add this community, no, that's going to ruin the vision. If white people can make these period piece movies where ain't nobody of color except for them back in the 50s to the 1800s, then let us make our Black, Latin, and Asian and Indian movies.
That's another reason too. I think this movie may have been played down the way it was, because I'm gonna still argue this and debate this. I'm gonna tell you why this had to be probably one of the best superhero movies that's been put together since Iron Man.
Let's hear it.
It's because they gave us a phenomenal pace to start off with. We didn't go, we're going to throw the entire DCU on you. We're going to tell your story in your world. Not only we're going to tell your story in your world, we're going to sprinkle little bits and pieces just to get you prepared. Like when he came to talk to his dad and you saw the Gotham Law hoodie that he was wearing, you started letting us know about what was in here, the things with even the former Blue Beetle, to let us know like, hey, this ain't it just got here. He's been here. This is how we're tying this in. That's how this one is going. Y'all have set a phenomenal pace to give us not only a great superhero movie that you can watch by yourself that doesn't need to be connected if you didn't want to, but also you set it up perfectly to where you can give us characters that aren't in the top tier, like like the Holy Trinity, that also gives us substance. Because like you said, even from the Latin part, the biggest thing that I took away was when George Lopez put the feed up and he played El Chaplin, Colorado.
Yeah.
And they did the short form, and they did the short stop form version. I was like, whoa. And then, like that's the red grasshopper and stuff like that. So I'm like, if you know it just a little bit about that, that was like the tick before the tick. And
yeah,
so
I had to look that up.
Yeah, to see them be able to like really show all of this, to throw all those elements in there, that's what I need to see, because that's what I felt like Falcon was missing. We didn't have that structure there. You didn't show us all of that. That's the same way I feel about Bucky stuff, the same way I feel about War Machine. It's like y'all threw them into this main story, but you didn't give these characters who we don't know too much a good structure. And even like moving on, I don't necessarily need a Blue Beetle sequel, because if we do, it's cool. Don't get me wrong, but you set it up to where wherever you now place him in, that timeline will be good, because the older he gets, the more we see he's connected to the Scarab even more.
Yeah.
What new powers he might be having with this, and where to really put him to where we can start even getting to that Young Justice live action type of feel, because
I would
feel
love
like
that.
that's where that's at.
Yeah.
I would love a Young Justice live action, but here's the thing: in order for that to happen, you got to get the Justice League right, and that's something they didn't do. Like, as much as I do appreciate Zack Snyder for having a love for the Justice League, his vision for his version was not what was needed at the time that we got it, because in actuality, Christopher Nolan should have been the one to build out the DC Justice League world. However, follow me here. However, because he was more interested in making a grounded Batman character more so than going into the lure of, this is why it became hypocritical for me with Christopher Nolan. He wanted to build this Batman story that was grounded in reality, and this person can be Batman and that person can be Batman, because Batman is an idea. You don't want to do the true story of Batman showing his actual villains and somebody like a Robin, because you don't want it to be too cartoony. Well, sometimes a lot of DC stuff is that way. But then the hypocritical part of it was your name being on Batman versus Superman. And the first scene of Batman versus Superman returned us to the comic booky, cartoony atmosphere of these fucking bats raising this little boy through this will. Yeah. So if you show that you can be in this world, then you could have given us the world that we deserved 10 years prior.
Let me tell you something.
Tell me.
Christopher Nolan does not give a fuck about Batman. And I love the Batman movies. I get why you would think about him and be like, yo, he could make a DCU. Absolutely not. He was like, Batman is cool. My boy Hans Zimmer about to make something fire, but he had absolutely no intention of connecting it to a bigger universe. And honestly, I don't think that he's the type of director to want to do that, period. So we could get that out the mind. Second of all, Batman being an idea is the point of Batman, right? There's many people, right man, a black man is just Batman. Like that's always been a thing. And actually, there's a comic book, a short run. It's like 6 issues you should read. It's called We Are Robin. And it's about like Batman's dead. It's kind of like Gotham Knights, if you've ever played that. Batman's dead. And Gotham is like obviously going to hell. So a bunch of people come together as Robin, because Batman is a symbol, but Gotham is a second character in the Batman story. So this is the Gothamites saying, how do we rise up? How do we assist in Batman's thesis in his manifesto by being Robin, by being his assistants? And they all like, the gear is fire.
That's that one where all of them, they got the picture where all of them in a group and they like lunging and stuff, right? Like kind of like they
they all look like they're wearing like different types of yellow, green, and red, but they're wearing like streetwear. It looks like a bunch of cosplayers doing casual Robin cosplay.
Yeah, that's the one I saw. Okay.
So I saw that. Is like a black guy.
Yeah, it's a solid run. But you know what I realized too? Like, it's one of my issues that I've had with people when they jump into like the world of live action, turning like a comic book or a graphic novel or stuff like that. I don't like the grounded approach, because my thing is this is like there's certain shit that you need to lean into, the fantasy, the comic book aspect of it, the ridiculousness of it. Like, if there's no way that you read or watch any Batman property and you come out and you say, let's just ground this whole thing, because you have characters like Mr. Freeze, which is like, that's not a real character. You have the Joker, which that like this person these are people that like you can ground them, but there's aspects that's going to be far-fetched that you got to be able to lean into, that you cannot exclude. That's what. So it's like, yes, you can still have grounded elements, but you can't go 100% grounded. You cannot. It's not going to be. I don't know. It's not going to be amazing.
So okay, so for the recent one, The Batman, would you say that was a pretty grounded Batman?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, but they still had elements that wasn't so grounded. I'm saying that's it. What I'm saying is you can't go full grounded. You got to have elements.
I'm just trying to catch how you're coming with that. But so, could you give me an example of what was one that was still kind of far fetched in the Batman, just so I know like what level of like far fetched you going for when it comes to a grounded movie?
You know what? I would have to go. I would have to go back and list it out, because now that I'm thinking about it, like because I can see, because remember we talked about a grounded Mr. Freeze to where it wasn't so over exaggerated. We talked about it to where but I'm saying
his wife was already sick. Yeah, his wife was already sick. His plan with the water being run, how to freeze that, actually making a weather machine that would freeze everything over to the where it pointed where, like you say, it's still slightly kind of far-fetched, but it has that grounded realism to it. I think that is still there. It's just really how you tell it. Because to me, the first ones that really got it, that had that good balance but never get its credit for it, is Watchmen. I think Watchmen should be a real format of how DC continues to make movies. Bright color type films with blood all over it.
Right. So when I say, like, I guess so now that I'm remembering, like, so like that whole final battle, that whole flood and everything like that, like that's something that would not really happen, right? But you still have that where it turns out really awesome and everything like that. And even we talked about Mr. Freeze, we talked about him freezing over Gotham and freezing it. Like, it's stuff like that where it's like you can't cut that out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to have those elements.
Hold on, I'm sorry. Did you just say it's not realistic for a dam to explode and water flood the city?
No, not that part.
That's Katrina.
Not that part.
Like,
I said the battle, that whole fight, that whole, like, that's not gonna happen in real life. Niggas hanging from the ceiling, shooting guns while it's flooded, and like I don't think that. What example has that happened?
That was the most realistic for that scenario. This is what grounded is for this scenario. This being possible. What's not grounded in any form or fashion is a Winnebago going over a cliff and you running up the Winnebago. I'm talking about Fast and Furious. So when you look at a comic book movie,
okay, I wasn't talking about that type of.
I'm just giving an example.
But
so
I see y'all.
When we talk about the Batman, the characters, honest to goodness, the only character off the top of my head that I can see not being able to be grounded is Poison Ivy, and that's because she literally turns green and she controls plants with her hands. I don't know how you could groundedly display that. You could display Mr. Freeze, you could display Bane, as they've shown, you could display Penguin, you could even display Cat. Like, they've shown how you can make these characters grounded, but the only people that you would have a hard time with,
I think we're misusing grounded here, because like when you're saying grounded versus realistic, I think they're two different things. So like to say something isn't grounded isn't because they're doing something ridiculous. You're already watching a superhero movie, right?
Right.
We're already breaking past what reality can be, unless you're watching something like The Punisher. That's the only, you know, like that type of superhero. But if you're into Batman, unless you cast it to Falcone and all them, there's no way you can stay realistic.
I think that's more what I'm talking about.
Right. But you can be grounded and still feel that. And I think that's what I really like about James Gunn. That's what I like about Peacemaker, right? It was both. It was real. It was grounded, but it was ridiculous. And
Ooh,
I
it
think
was ridiculous. I loved it.
that's what you need to balance. And it doesn't have to be quirky and funny. That's what I like about the Batman, because there were a lot of scenes that broke reality, right? Because you need that, right? Him injecting himself with what was it? Venom, the stuff that Bane uses, right? So that he could get a final boost in that last fight. Like things like that is what's really gonna push what Batman is, because he can't just be realistic and be beaten up and then be a billionaire playboy in the daytime.
I don't need any more comedy in my superhero films. Like, here's the thing.
You don't like to laugh?
This is what I mean by this.
I don't need to quip every sentence.
Iron Man 1 was funny because Robert Downey Jr. is funny. When you look at films that the character is funny, you're like, oh man, because this is natural. This actor is funny. When you start trying to manufacture the funny is where I get annoyed. So when we look at the Marvel films that have gotten so ridiculously silly just to be silly, is because they're trying to recreate. It doesn't take a genius to see. They're trying to recreate and find another Iron Man that they could pay for a lower scale.
The Adam West erasure is crazy right now, and I will not stand for it. DC Comics is funny.
I'm not saying that it's not funny. I'm talking about slapsticky. I'm talking about Thor 4 had some very funny moments.
The George Clooney erasure is also crazy.
Listen,
no, we acknowledge that.
We're acknowledging all of this, but that's not where it got. We were still children when the George Clooney Batman and Robin came out.
It still impacted the way movies came out. So Iron Man being quippy is coming from old DC.
No,
movies.
I'm not talking about derivatives. I'm not talking about origins. I'm talking about when we put together a comic book movie and your thought is to add more jokes instead of action and story. That's what I'm talking about. If you're not focused more on your actual arc of your protagonist and your antagonist and making sure the duality and the balance is there compared to you making a joke, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about just comedy.
So like for Thor, when you see Thor Ragnarok, Thor had that great mentality that brought him to be funny. When Thor came out, you intentionally tried to make him be a joke. You tried to make him make fun, do things. Like even to like Blue Beetle, it was funny watching these people react, and their personality makes them naturally funny, not you trying to get us to go for it. Like you intentionally, like how Coming to America 2 was. You went to try to make jokes instead of it just being these people are naturally funny, and it gave us all kinds of
I saw that coming. But wait, because here's the thing. Hold on. Because right now in the MCU, Thor, Star-Lord, fucking Iron Man, like everybody is the exact same as far as personality. They are giving quips every other line. They're all trying to crack jokes. They're all trying to be the suave, sexy man, but who says some funny shit every now and then. And I'm just like, I'm over that, because it's like everybody is just Tony Stark light at this point in Marvel. Everybody is Tony Stark light, and it's like, and it seems like now even with the new characters, you are introducing us to new characters, but you're giving them the traits of Tony Stark's. You know, Mark Spector, he didn't have to have as many quips as he did in Moon Knight, but they gave him all those quips, and I just felt like I was watching another person trying to be Iron Man, but in Moon Knight. It's like stop giving everybody quips. Everybody doesn't have to be a character with quips, and that's why with, again, going back to Blue Beetle, it's their personality. It's not a quip. It's not, the obvious joke here, I'm gonna make this joke. It's really, okay, this character would react to this way. The sister, she would be that one clowning on Jaime like that, and but also have immense love for her and family and take it the hardest because, you know, that's her character. Their
reaction. I'm glad they didn't overdo that. I'm so glad they didn't overdo the sister being sarcastic and funny. It was like it fit when it needed to, and then she got emotional when things hurt. It wasn't overly, hey, I'm a attitudinal teenager. I have things to say, and it's like it gets annoying super fast. So the balance was there. I'm saying I was so let down by Thor 4 because they were clearly riding off. You know what it is? Next Friday, Friday after next. We all love Friday and we love the funny moments, but you forget that movie had heart and balance and a story. Part 2 focused on everything that was funny from part one and wanted to do that in part two. And thank God for Mike Epps being so funny that it was like, all right, this kind of saves it. But it wasn't a better movie than part one. And then part three had a little better of a story, but was still funny, but it wasn't as slapsticky. So what I feel that a lot of comic book films do when they are getting into their sequels is that they start relying on the things that worked from part one, and they don't give the attention to the small things that also worked in the movie, right? So Sam Jackson in part one of Iron Man, I'm sorry, how should I say this? Sam Jackson was a little bit more serious and coy in the Iron Man appearance than he was as the universe continued to go. As the universe continued to go, he just became Sam Jackson. But you know what I'm saying? It just became a whole lot of looks, became a whole lot of jokes. So when you start focusing on just the, oh, people laughed here, let's get 8 more lines like that, instead of focusing on the setup of before that joke came to put in the next movie, that's where I have the trouble, if that makes sense.
I feel like that is a plague of anything that continues. Like, that's a plague of TV. That's a plague of sequels that, like, they do a focus group, they check, they do research to see what exactly did the audience like, and then they expand on it. And I don't think it's unique to DC. I don't think it's unique to Marvel. You know, you see a character that starts off grounded and say they have one cool thing about them that we all love, and we're like all making memes about this one cool thing. Guess what? Season 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, that cool thing is going to become more and more apparent, and that like personality trait will up. And I think Ragnarok, to your point, is exactly it. We love the jokes, we love like everything. So when Taika Waititi went into storyboarding and talking to the execs, they were like, we want more. Everything you did, we want more. And so he had to double, triple, quadruple down. They're like, we love that rock. Put that rock there, have him narrate the whole story. We love this, we love that. And so I think a lot of that is hard to get around.
It's not even just audiences, it's the executives. To your point, executives 9 times out of 10 don't know what the fuck they're doing. And the way you get promoted to an executive is crazy. And let me explain this to you. The way you get promoted to any position is by doing a job, and either one, people like you there and somebody left that position and they're like, oh, I think you have potential, and they throw you into that, right? For example, if I am going to be head of development for a comic book company, I should not be someone who does not know comic books, right? And that's how it is with these executives. So it's like executives be like, "Ooh, we want more of that." Be like, "Yeah, but that doesn't make sense for the story because but we want more of that." So when you look at Ragnarok, the reason Ragnarok worked on top of everything is because Dark World was so serious and trash that you're like, "Wait a minute, this is a completely different version of this character. I like this." And so now when we can see it coming in Love and Thunder, we're like, "Ah, man, I thought y'all were going to switch it up and give us something we weren't going to expect."
And I think but then too, like from even the financial point of those, you see it from Thor 1 to Thor 2. It's like, okay, this William Shakespeare's tone we tried to go with ain't hit. And so, but when we got to Avengers, we saw like, oh, we see this battle, this sarcastic battle between Loki and Thor. We kind of like that a little bit more. So let's now make it to where it's like, okay, these gods interacting with these humans, which I think DC did a great job with, is creating an environment to leave it open to be funny. And then they started that kind of with Avengers, but because, to be honest, they didn't know where to go with Thor. And when it started becoming, oh, this guy's kind of funny, you just made him a stronger Star-Lord. And now you just make him a goofball.
And that was my issue with the goofy aspect of it, because they could have still did that of Thor, you know, dealing with these earthlings and still having those funny moments. But when you have the moments of him being goofy, being the butt of the jokes, you know, then it's like, all right, now what you like, you doing a whole lot here. So, you know,
And look, completely
Blue Beetle did not have that problem.
Beetle was perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah, DC actually from I'm gonna say Peacemaker, Harley Quinn, and Blue Beetle definitely did not have a issue of creating an environment to leave it open for jokes. Like we knew what was going on with Suicide Squad, but you still left it open for these characters to have personality. And it seems like, okay, this is how villains would talk to each other. They're sarcastic assholes who don't really like each other. So yeah, they're gonna be at each other's throats, and we're going to laugh at that. Same way they did with Blue Beetle. This is a kid who got an ancient piece of technology. This is how him and his family would naturally react to that, and they're going to have their funny moments. They did a great job at keeping that in there. So I just want to know though, before we get out of here. Oh, go ahead, CT.
Tell me this. I know you would know this, Frankie. The scarabs, where do they all come from? And is there a story where they all, I don't know, the owner unites them or comes to collect them?
So they're not like tech, they're a race of people, not people, but like it's like a tech race. So they come from a planet and they actually go to planets to conquer them. So the scarab goes to Earth. The initial what's the word I'm looking for? Assignment. The initial assignment is to take over Earth, right? To destroy the Earth. So like that's why in some iterations, and I feel like the early, not Young Justice, like in Young Justice, you'll hear Kajita say some wild shit, right? Like like we going to that, because they're supposed to be villain, but Jaime's will is stronger than that. So them being bonded, right? They're supposed to take over Jaime, and then they take over the world, and then boom, they consume it. So think of them more like a world of parasites.
Yo, so you know how that would tie in really dope for this new one is because like how you said, CT, it reminds you of Green Lantern. So it's like, what if the Green Lantern Corps is that same thing, but they owned, and I'm gonna say this wrong, so I'm gonna have to go to you, Frankie. But the Scarabs were created by the Lords of Chaos, and then who are the other ones? Who are the good ones? Frankie, what are their names?
I forgot, but I know what you're talking about.
That's where the Lantern Corps comes
I get what you're saying, where it's like they're conflicting, and so like it's a Scarab war. Y'all should really
that'd be a good parallel.
Day. It's only 6 issues.
Read what?
Graduation Day. It's Blue Beetle, and essentially that's what read Blue Beetle. But
that's what it is? Okay.
His Scarab is acting up. He's like, yo, speak to me in English and Spanish. What's going on? And like,
and the fact that Scarab spoke Spanish at the end, I was fucking with that shit too.
Because Jaime goes in and out of Spanish. So the Scarab's like, okay, I connect with you. This is gonna motivate you. Let me speak to you in your natural language, and I love it. Because why does it speak English?
Yeah.
Like why does it speak English?
Also, to CT's point about not overdoing stuff, I love how they did Uncle Rudy's character, because that character could have easily been the dumb character, the not so smart character, and he
was a genius.
They gave him They gave him enough of I'm raw to this world, but my approach to this is still still got the tech. I still know how to put shit together. I still know how to make something, and they did not overdo it. I love that as well.
Nah, because every if you know Latinos, they got a Rudy.
Yeah, I just want to push out that Rudy is just a liberal in Florida. So like the stuff that he's saying, it's like at first we're like he's this quirky uncle with conspiracy theories, and then we get a glimpse of the world, and the world is. Aliens have been introduced. I'm sure there's a Superman in this. You see the city already has integrated alien tech, and that's why it looks so futuristic. So as you start to bring in what that world is and listen to what Theo Rudy is saying, he's spitting, but he seems ridiculous because that's what people who are woke sound like, right? If you are just going through the motions trying to survive, you don't want to listen to Theo Rudy because he's gonna make you paranoid. But what Theo Rudy is saying is right. They are tracking us. They are looking at it. He called Batman a fascist. I don't know which Batman they're doing, but I will say Zack Snyder's Batman was a fascist. So yes.
But you know what else, Frankie? You know what else you saw Rudy doing? Fixing stuff.
You saw him fixing DK. He was
he was fixing stuff.
And he had a pickup truck, but you ain't seen no numbers in that pickup truck.
And we ain't seen deleted feed yet either. We don't know what Booty was doing when that wasn't
truck
happening.
came back fixed, and you know what? I'm not gonna hold you. I was stressed. I said, "Damn, I can't watch this man redo this truck." And it was on hydraulics. I was like, I was so glad it came back together.
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Cool." You're right. You're right.
Is this your is this your favorite George Lopez role? I've been really thinking about that. Like, out of all the stuff that I've seen George Lopez in, I really enjoyed him in this role. Like, really enjoyed him in this role.
I enjoyed him in a role, but I also, you're talking to a fan of Lopez tonight. Like, I like George Lopez.
Yeah.
So, but this movie role, yes, absolutely. George Lopez is just so likable, bro.
Yeah, he is.
I don't
I still
he
think
did
Spy
anything
Kids
that
3 is his
deviated.
greatest role he's ever played. Just throwing
He
that
said
out
that?
there. Spy Kids 3 is George Lopez's greatest
Yeah,
role.
facts. He was the same guy as Spy Kids.
Should have got.
I can't
should've
believe
got
they
an
didn't
award.
get Danny Trejo. Did he have a conflict?
Yo,
Did he have a
He
conflict?
must be in the
and look. I'm not gonna lie. If he'd have came and his name was Machete, I wouldn't have had.
What if he
no
would have played
argument.
the Red Beetle character instead of my man?
Ooh. But then I would have felt bad because I don't
I'd
want
have
to.
been hot. I'd have been hot if he died. I'd have been hot
Also,
if he died.
I saw him at Awesome Con. He's like 5'2".
Yeah.
Zolo is like 6'2".
Really?
Very tall man. Zolo's tall. Danny is
Really?
a lot shorter than I thought.
Yeah.
I'm tall. I'm like 5'7".
Zolo 6'2".
Yeah, I'm.
Now,
I'm
if you look at it, yeah. Because what's
he's
his face
pretty
that played
tall
Cobra
though. I
Kai?
can look it up, but
Yeah.
he's pretty tall. And Danny, when I saw Danny, not even close. I was in the green room and he walked by me, and sitting down, he was barely taller than me when he walked. I was like, you know, when Tory Lanez got up and that,
And he was still the same height.
it was like that.
Yeah.
It was
That's how I
just
felt
like
about.
that.
That's how I felt about Ron Perlman when I saw him, and he was just like right here to me. I'm like,
Oh, why would you tell me that? Ron, no.
yo, it's just a big ass head on the short body. I'm just looking like,
No.
hell, boy.
Will, you're
You're
tall.
supposed to
Will,
be here.
you're tall. Will, you're like 6'5", right?
Which is why I can't stand Christian Bale as Batman. The bitch is 5'3". I'm not scared of you taking over Gotham. I'm gonna fuck with you
Yeah,
like
but
that.
then-
Where
but
is he?
then-
Where's the rest of you?
But then Ben Affleck was too tall. So I was like,
No, he was
why
the
is
perfect
he taller?
Batman. Him
Why is he
and
taller
Cavill
than
was the
Superman?
perfect Superman. They were the best ones. That's why
Cavill was
yo,
kind of
I
short,
need-
but Cavill was an amazing Superman.
He was an
You know,
amazing
yeah,
Superman.
people always say that, and all I could think is, I think he looked like an amazing Superman. I thought he was a terrible Superman. Every installment, he's a good actor, but the script, how could he be a good Superman when he's walking out of a building that exploded without helping? When he watches his dad die, like, how can I say
He didn't watch his dad die. His dad told him
His
to
dad
not help him
No,
His dad
Clark Kent
because
of
he didn't
mine
want his son
would've
to be
listened
exposed.
No Clark Kent of mine would have listened.
That's
The
what his dad
whole
did.
point
Not
of
my
Clark
Clark Kent.
Kent dying is that it's out of his hands.
Frankie, you
right?
know what you
That's
just
the
did?
whole point. It's cancer.
This whole hour and a half, you made me fall in love with you and fall out of love with your ass.
That's crazy.
God damn it.
That's great. But no. Tell me what has Henry, tell me a scene that Henry Cavill did that you're like, Superman.
When he saved in that oil rig, the oil rig is when I was like,
That's one.
Superman.
Saving something, y'all. That's not Superman. That's not Superman.
What? I'm sorry. What do you think, Superman?
I don't need to know your criteria. I need to know your criteria, Frankie.
Okay, so first of all, we have to remember that Superman is I would give y'all him the decision to kill
And that's the one I can't give
God
you.
is
That's
the
the one I
only thing
can't
that
give
I
you.
was like, and even then we didn't get enough, but whatever. The whole point of Superman, it reminds me of Black Man Syndrome in a white room, right? He has a lot of power. He knows everyone is intimidated by him. He's scared. And he is there to, one, let people be comfortable, but two, to fight for the people. There's a comic book run where Superman loses his powers and he starts fighting the police, straight hands. Okay, he's fighting the Ku Klux Klan members. He's doing that. Superman is all about morality. Superman is all about people. Superman is all about saving everyone no matter what, right? Yeah.
Okay, if that's the case, then you explain the south side of Metropolis and why he won't even go over there to go help them out.
Who said
But
that?
Superman.
Will.
That's in the comments. Like
Hold
Superman actually stated, like, yo, like
Hold on.
I cannot
I got an
save the
actual
south side of
point.
Metropolis.
We didn't get there though. We didn't get the opportunity for him to explore that.
He
So we
had
gotta
four appearances.
Okay,
Duh.
but and in those 4 appearances, it was all residuals off of the first thing that ended up happening, right? And so, like, here's the thing: what you said about him being the people and making people comfortable, him showing up to that courthouse, and even that whole scene of him trying to show, like, look, I don't have to be here, but I am trying to show y'all that I'm trying to work with the people. That was Superman as fuck. That there was
not. He walked away from that courthouse when it
he didn't walk away. The courthouse blew up.
And then it's a courthouse that just blew up. Superman stays for triage every time. Superman cleans up. Superman never leaves a scene. Superman's like, damn, this blew up. Let me search. Let me make sure there's no survivors in here. Let me get the debris out. Let me make sure what's the impact of this blast. This man blew up and said, damn, that's crazy. They was talking shit about me in there anyway.
One scene.
And dipped.
One scene I will say that should have happened in that. Well, one thing they didn't do in Zack Snyder's Superman run for the entire thing was he never focused on his super speed. Even when they showed the race between he and Flash, I hate when the director shows Superman flying next to the Flash because that he has super speed as well. He can run almost as fast as the Flash. So when you look at the scene in the courthouse, what should have happened was him kicking into super speed and trying to remove people out and then kicking himself when there might have been one person he couldn't save. But the writing overall did not display Henry Cavill being a great Superman. We had to look in between the lines and what he did with what he was given to be shown that he was a great Superman.
Those
and
lines
also too
super tight. And the
but let's not forget though what Superman he was at. The one you mentioned is a veteran Superman. Didn't he, like Man of Steel? He just kind of learned how to fly.
He just became Superman.
Are y'all watching My Adventures of Superman?
I just started last night.
I am. And I love
that.
It.
Is an origin, right? So you guys are talking about we have 4 hours. I could kind of let y'all go for Man of Steel, but Batman v Superman was the perfect opportunity to do what I'm talking about with Superman, which is normally his biggest conflict, which is that people are scared of me. And how do I do my job, but also grappling with how do I restrain myself and my power, because I'm powerful than everyone I interact with. We did not see that in Batman v Superman. We got something.
But you know
different.
But I think that's Superman's fault. But I think they jumped too, because even in Batman versus Superman, you saw more of Kingdom Comes Superman. This was one who was kind of just like, yo, I'm not really trying to make y'all feel good. Like, and I saw that when the Batmobile hit him and he looked and he said, yo, your shit done. Don't do this again. I'm like,
he was an arrogant
like,
Superman.
Like, Superman don't be doing that.
That's Snyder.
The whole theme of that movie was gods against monsters or something like that, right? Wasn't it?
That's guns. That's guns.
Snyder was turning everybody into Kryptonian. It was a mess.
Yeah.
But you watch My Adventures of Superman, right? What are you noticing about Superman? You're watching that he cares about the people.
He's discovering his powers.
He's discovering his powers as you get further.
Don't say
he's getting stronger. No, these are spoilers. Cool. As he's getting stronger, as he's interacting, as he's seeing who can he save, what's his conflict? I need to save everyone, right? It's the across the Spider-Verse question. Peter Parker and most of DC heroes are I should save everyone. I'm here to save everyone. That scene where Jonathan Kent said no and Superman listened, I checked out from then on.
But that's what you have to understand. And I understand. I'm not trying to change your mind, but I'm just trying to explain that part in the movie. Kevin Costner loved his son so much that he already knew what would happen if anybody were to see his son do anything heroic like that. Like, how the fuck did you just save him from that? Did you say Cap?
Cap. It was stupid. It was stupid.
Because to your point, CT, super speed. Super speed.
He would have,
and you would have had to say shit.
But they didn't showcase the super speed.
There. So if he moved him, right? If he grabbed Jonathan Kent and took him home, right? People would have thought that Jonathan Kent got caught up in it. What would have happened? It was a tornado there. There was so many ways they could have out-explained Jonathan Kent surviving it instead of it versus him not surviving and his son surviving. That takes more explanation. Hey, how did you survive this? We saw you out there too. Cat. It was stupid. He was like, his father needs to. Is this camera on me? His father. It's dumb. It was dumb. It didn't make any sense. Jonathan Kent. He just was like, Zack Snyder read somewhere. Jonathan Kent needs to die, and he said, "How do I do? I need to."
He read Spider-Man. He was watching Spider-Man.
He read Spider-Man.
Like, you know
and even with Spider-Man, that's a different lesson that comes.
It is.
Right?
It is.
But in this case, for it to be. Superman was right there, and his dad said no, and he said, "Damn, Dad, I love you. Goodbye." Doesn't make any sense.
That's why I like Dean Cain Superman better, bro.
Yeah.
Dean Cain Superman had his parents for a long time,
and I don't think it's Henry Cavill's fault. I think
it's not.
I think it's Zack Snyder's
it is
fault. 1,000%.
Well, 1,000%.
This new kid, y'all gonna forget about when you get the new bitch. Y'all gonna forget. And I'm gonna be right here. I'll be right here. Oh, when y'all get that new on your tongue, and
I'm open to it. I just don't know much about it.
Okay, yeah, open to it. Copy. Let's cut this for later. Don't make it into a reel. Okay, I just want to wait until this movie put this on the drive so that I can get y'all all in 3 years when it drops. 4 years probably now because of the strike. When it drops. Y'all gonna be like, "Whoa, I really love this guy. He was better than Henry Cavill." And I'll be like, "I know, because it was written by somebody who likes Superman, and this cat looks just like Henry Cavill. That's all you needed. All we saw was the face. We didn't see any being done."
Well, Frankie, I don't think none of us is against him. I don't think none of us is against them. We just say as of now, we fuck with Henry Cavill.
Here's the answer that I have to your question. We fuck with Henry Cavill because as comic book fans, there are several actors that get cast in these roles and they might fit the role. And after that first movie and they got their money and they got their fame, they start saying, I don't know how long I'll play this character. Henry Cavill is someone who got the character. He got the role and he said, I want to play Superman forever. He was excited to play Superman. He wanted to do as many appearances as he could playing Superman, and the studio wouldn't allow him to. So as fans, we saw the hero and Superman and Clark Kent qualities in this character, in this real man, that we were like, he wants to be here. While at the same time, no disrespect, Ben Affleck, he's like, yo, man, I don't know if I'm gonna be Batman anymore. I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to do that. Then you see other actors saying, yeah, it's time for these things to kind of end. But we see this guy with the role of a lifetime saying, I want to be this guy, and the studio isn't letting me. So when he got a chance to appear in Black Adam, the reason we all erupted is because we're like, finally, somebody who wants to be here. Right. That's why we love him as Superman. Now, if this next actor is that guy, then cool.
That's fair. So y'all love Henry Cavill.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Not the Superman Henry Cavill played. Y'all think like
I hate that black women listen to everything.
No, hold on, because I wanted to get to that. To add to that, this man also gave us multiple different versions of Superman. You could see him as the one that don't have powers. We were still behind him. You saw him as the one, if you have, again, like kind of the Kingdom Come, where he's a little bit more seasoned. He gave us a glimpse of like, okay, if you gave us a story of how he got to that, cool. You even showed us the evil version of Superman, where this dude was knocking people's heads off. And we're just like, oh yeah, I'd hate to see him at. The only one we didn't get was long-haired Superman. So it was like to see him, even though he didn't have movies, we got to see him in different iterations of it. Let us know it's just like, yo, this is a dude that's a great Superman that y'all just did not take advantage of. And so, and again, it's not to say nothing about the other guy and stuff like that, but it's just like, yo, you got a lot you got to bring to the table, but bring it into your own journey. Like, you don't have to top Cavill. Just give us the Superman that y'all are trying to have for James Gunn's story and make that shine bright.
You know what I want to see for once? I want to see superheroes that, how do you say it? You know how this guy who's playing Superman now, he's playing a super young Superman, so he's going to be like thin and all of that shit. I want to see a superhero movie where these motherfuckers are as yoked as I am. Like, I want to see these motherfuckers be massive and really fighting each other. I'm tired of seeing these bony ass motherfucking superheroes. I want to see a thick ass Miss Marvel. You understand me? I want to see Miss Marvel be like she is when we go to these Comic Cons. I'm talking about both. I want to see the women be thicker, and I want to see the men be meaty with the guns, bro.
See,
that's why I like Ben Affleck as Batman.
You bigger than Chris Evans. You bigger than Ben Affleck as Henry Cavill.
Chris, first of all, the only person who probably got me. This is what I want. I want you to think wrestlers. Don't just think about Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck is a very thin man. I want you to look at Bobby Lashley.
Batman, he was not big. He was not small in Batman.
Batman versus Superman, he was yoked as fuck. When I'm talking about in regular walking around life, he's a very thin man. But when you look at Bobby Lashley, you look at somebody like Roman Reigns, The Rock. Like, I want to see people like The Rock in these superhero roles.
If you
yoked.
All right.
Yoked.
If you have super strength,
yes,
there's not much that you can do to create the resistance to yoke yourself up like that.
You know what you're doing? You're being realistic, and I don't need it.
I'm just confused on where you're going with this. I was like,
we want the comic accurate.
What are they listing?
We want the I want it all. I want to see just like
be thicker because they'd be like 100 pounds and
but look at it.
I
know what CT's saying because, like, okay. John Stewart is a character that's not yoked in like real life, but he has that superhero physique where it's kind of like that upside down triangle.
Stewart got dad bod.
No, he got that upside down triangle. He still got the broad shoulder. Like, if you look at the animated series,
she's thinking of the animated series. That's what she going with this one.
Like,
you got to think Michael Jai White. Every superhero should be built like Michael Jai White.
And guess what?
Yes.
He's not a good actor.
I'll beat your ass. Michael Jai White.
I love his movies.
He's a national treasure.
Michael Jai White is an incredible actor.
I think he's a great martial artist. Okay. And I haven't seen.
Who do you think is a good actor then? Let's think that. If you say Michael Jai White is not a good actor, who do you think is a good actor?
Spawn ain't a good actor.
I thought Spawn was great. I thought it was.
No, who do you think is a good actor?
Wesley Snipes is a good actor.
He is phenomenal.
Ali is a great actor. I mean, there's a lot. I do think Ben Affleck is a good actor. I thought Zola was a good actor.
And you don't think Michael Jai White?
I feel
I think now this is the thing. I think he's great in Blacktainment. Like, what is it? The one where he's like, Sheila, I don't even got to look, and he's like a pimp. Like
Black Dynamite.
I think he's good in that. And
hey, it's time to end the show.
I think he's
she gotta go
anyway. But yeah, I couldn't even y'all rewatch Spawn.
You gotta
look, Black Dynamite.
Black Dynamite. Look at Tyson. That was his first film. That was his first leading role. Look at Tyson. Look at him on a guest star of Saved by the Bell. He is an actor.
Man,
Toxic Avenger. That was his first feature. Toxic Avenger.
Universal Soldier. Listen, you talking to a Michael Jai White stan.
Man, bro, this is a Michael Jai White
right here.
Stand
Blood and Bone.
Right here.
Blood and Bone. I've been asking him to do a sequel to that for years.
Undisputed. Before he
all the stuff y'all been complaining about right now, or like earlier in the show, like are rampant in Michael Jai White's movies.
Hey, Frankey. Hey, delete my number. She ain't got my number. Don't delete my number.
I'm just asking for the same energy across the board.
Why it always be anarchy in your comics, Frankey? Like I said, like CT's introduction to you is why it be anarchy in your comics. People love you at first, and then you say some crazy stuff like this. And then
she took me on a journey.
You gotta love all of me, okay?
She took me on a journey, bro.
One thing is I'm consistent, okay? If you like,
I had hearts in my eyes, bro. I had hearts in my eyes. I was planning a retirement community for us, and then she just came up with this bullshit.
The only one I've been out with.
Hey, listen here, I've been doing content with CT for about a year and a half now. CT ain't never asked me, "Do you live in LA?" He asked me that immediately.
I felt
he didn't even start, and he was like, "You in the group chat." I'm like,
I don't even got to meet her. I don't even got to meet her. But Will and I've hung out plenty of times. He knows I'm just saying.
Yeah,
so it's just the same energy, and people just want you to give exceptions. Absolutely not. Black and white.
Broke my heart, bro.
Sorry.
Hey, she be great. I'll say this: She'll back it up though. That's what I love about it. To be like, I want to be so mad at you, and I'm even more mad because you kind of got a point, and I'm seeing where you coming from, and I don't like that.
No, I don't need you converting. No, take a stand. Stop converting.
I gave her all her props.
I'm a Lord of Chaos, sir. Lord of Chaos.
You are a Lord of Chaos. Until she said to Michael Jai White, that's where I was like, oh,
I love him. I think he is a pillar of our community. I love most of the movies that he's in. I don't want to hear the
That's how you know you don't when you start off anything with like that. I think he's a pillar to the community. That's the professional way of
it's a compliment sandwich, yo.
Michael Jai White should have been War Machine. He should have been Bishop. He also should have been John Stewart Green Lantern. He still could be. And who else? Those were his perfect three for me.
Yeah.
Bron Steiger isn't bad, but
Blue Marvel. I can see him be Blue Marvel. I can see him.
That Bron Steiger made me
but before I go, I need to know what Black Men in Session is over Blue Marvel, because like he sucks. He's not a nice person. Like his stories,
we don't have a lot. Like, we don't have a lot. We don't have a lot of people.
He's a Republican. Y'all fuck with Republicans. He's a misogynist. He's a Republican. He's a
so is Batman. So is Batman, and we fuck with him. Batman is a Republican.
So is Tony
fashion.
Okay, that's
and he's a drunk.
Y'all be pushing. I just don't hear this energy for Black Lightning. I don't.
You know what Black Lightning? Here's the problem with Black Lightning.
Who has Rocket there to balance off and for him to learn and to be more tolerant.
I want to see an Icon movie.
With his beef
I do want to see an Icon. No, wait.
Black Lightning. The problem, and I'll even go with the show. The problem with that show, and shout out to Mara Brockett Keel and Salima Keel, but the problem with that show was, one, they focused on a part of Black Lightning that was not conducive to the audience that they were serving. When you're on the CW, you're dealing with teenage girls, white teenage girls, and teenage boys. Now, when you are presenting something like this, you need to start him off without any attachments. You need to start him out with his own origin story and maybe him being a kid and then him becoming Black Lightning. You don't start him as a middle-aged father and principal on the CW network. That would have worked on Showtime, but it's not going to work on the CW. So when you start it like that and then you focus more on his daughters, it's like, listen, I understand and I support Black women like anybody else, but you're giving mixed messages. You can't call this show Black Lightning and not focus on Black Lightning. That's another problem with The Flash. You tell me, The Flash is going to be in every other episode this season. What the fuck are you talking about? This is The Flash. I'm not here to see his friends, bro. So when I see Black Lightning, I'm not here to see his friends. They showed his daughters. They showed him being broken down, and that you can't start a franchise like this where I'm supposed to be behind this title character. You got to show me him in his prime, him extremely excited about fighting crime, and you did not show me any of that. And then on top of that, the last season and a half, you got political with your views. Like, the thing about comic book shows and movies is escapism. We want to escape our normal realities and problems to go into this reality. And when you show me a reality and your reality that is similar to mine, I'm like, fam, that's another reason Love and Thunder pissed me off. I don't want to see somebody die from cancer when my father died of cancer. When I'm looking at Black Lightning, I don't want to see children being locked in cages, because in real life, we're seeing kids be locked in cages. So when you give me something, give me the escapism that's fire, and give me something that I can see and be behind. A lot of shows on the CW work because it's youth involved. Cut to All American working because, yes, this is a network that likes to pander to young white girls, but they also love young Black boys in the white world, and that's why this worked.
And then, like, to CT's point, real quick, it just
hold on, let her respond.
Oh, okay.
Comic books as a genre is to make real life issues palpable to the masses. It's political by nature.
Oh yeah, but we don't like that. Just because that's the norm doesn't mean we got to accept it.
It's not the norm.
I mean, I'm not. Hold on.
Will, y'all got to let her finish.
It's not the norm. It's not the norm. It's the genre. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's the genre. The entire genre is to shine a light. Now, it may be triggering. I get that. Like, that's triggering, or it may be something you're not interested in. But that's the nature of it, right? So it's supposed to show a light. These are struggles that's going on in the real world. I'm gonna slap some aliens on it so that we can get this message out. But it's always been political. Like when you said Supergirl got political, I'm like, Superman is political. That's the whole thing.
Oh no. And what I mean to elaborate on that part of Supergirl, what I mean is
Supergirl started.
No. I don't care about any of that stuff. I'm always gonna support the LGBTQ and anybody who wants to be comfortable within their skin. I don't give a fuck about that. The thing that I'm talking about political wise is we've said this on this show for almost a year and a half now. Make great characters, right? I loved, for an example, the movie Salt with Angelina Jolie, right? I loved Atomic Blonde. Give me a strong character. Don't tell me, oh, I'm strong because I'm a woman. I don't want to hear that stupid shit. Just give me a good character. Supergirl started doing the political shit. The first thing that pissed me off is when they brought in, now I want you to think of every actor who's played Superman. They were tall, they were strong, they were manly. No disrespect to Tyler Hoechlin because they've done their best to try and rebuild his character as Superman from another dimension, another world. But when they showed his Superman on Supergirl, they made him subservient to Supergirl. She was taller than him. She beat him in these battles. Now, I'm not saying that Supergirl isn't stronger than Superman. I'm saying that the way they did it was literally disrespecting the legacy of Superman. That was the first thing. The second thing,
legacy of Supergirl, that she's more powerful, she's stronger.
I just said that. My point is this. Yeah. When they started doing more and more, hey, you're a woman, you're stronger than everyone. It was like, fam, can we just give the story? You don't need to do shit like that. That's politics.
They do that with male characters literally all
when you see the male character where they say, hey, you're a boy.
Jitsu. The verbiage is just different. But
no.
I think
in male stories, they don't show a male being like, hey, you get up because you're a man and you're strong. That is not.
No, that's what they do all the time. They just they just don't say it like straight out.
That's my point. They're not saying that.
I think that's what he's getting to.
Yeah,
he doesn't.
In any story, it doesn't get said. They just show it. Like, show me a good story and a good character.
Because they're men.
No. So if that's the case, give me a woman character that is written just like a male character, and you be like, yo, that's fire. Wonder Woman 1 was incredible, and not once did they say, hey, you're wonderful, woman. You, as a woman, are better than men. They just showed her being dynamic in everything she did, and that's why we got behind her character. When you start pandering to an audience just to get a casual viewer to come in and be like, hey, I'm a woman, I'm going to watch this show, that's when you start being trash with the storyteller. That's my point in saying it was political.
Wonder Woman to CW, that's their calling card. To look at you, Barry Allen, every episode, that's what he's doing in the Flash. They're like, you're Barry.
Well, that's
Allen,
why to CC's point, he stopped fucking with the Flash because
I don't think. I mean, just to single out Supergirl and on the CW, when everyone in the CW verse goes through that language.
No. I was only answering your question.
I get it, but
for Supergirl.
Supergirl,
if you want to know my true thoughts,
over to everything.
If you want to know first of all, I know you got to get out of here, but my problem with DC Legends of Tomorrow was trash. Yeah. The problem with the Flash after season 3,
Tomorrow after season 1 was trash.
Listen, after season 1, they lost their way. Say they didn't get the reason they built the show was to make it seem like they were doing a Justice League type show. They're like, we're doing team ups, we're doing larger than life these situations, we're doing guest stars, and what they ended up doing.
Society on there.
That was seasons later once they realized that they were losing their audience.
Season 2.
Hold on, which season where the Big Bear came in? Which one was that?
That was season 4.
Yeah. That's when they lost it. Everything else was dope. After that happened, that's when I was like, no, I'm good.
I love the Justice Society. The problem with the Justice Society is they only showed 3 members where you're like, who the fuck was this guy? They kept away from showing the members that you actually wanted to see, like the Lantern of that world. They kept away from showing I think they showed Our Man and they showed Black Cat. Yes, and Stargirl, but barely. It's like, come on, man.
And that wasn't enough to save the series for me. I'm sorry. Like, just because you got a fire moment, don't mean that the whole series is going to. That series was trash.
They kept going to the past, and I'm like, bro.
DC's Echo. That was DC.
When they
intro.
went
That
to
was
the future and saw Old Man Oliver, it's like, oh, if you keep this up, this is going to be incredible. And then they had a storyline with a Flash. Something happened with him in like 2025 or 2048. They never revisited that. Like, I was like, I'm out of here for DC Legends tomorrow. Supergirl got political. I was out of there. Flash got trash after Savitar. Then when I watched Arrow brought itself back in season 5 and 6, and I was like, ooh. But all these shows start going through the same BS. I was with Black Lightning until that last season and a half, and I was like, I'm out of here. And I'm somebody who never quit any show, and the CW changed me.
So I love Black Lightning character as a comic character, right? The show and this is my sole take on why I never attached to the show is that to what CT was saying, I got more interested in the daughters, and so now the dad didn't see.
Hold on,
let Frankie get your shit off.
Yeah. So yeah. And then I gotta go too because I gotta hop on the call.
All right, I'll make this quick. I'll make this real quick. But it's like his character never seemed as cool as the comics and the animation to me. So because of that, I never latched onto it. I just kept on, and then I got it. You know how we as you know, y'all as comedians and just as Black folks, after a while we start turning things into jokes. So now I was even called on Black Lightning. I'm like, that's Khadijah's boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? That's how I only saw him because I'm like, y'all did not make him cool enough.
Khadijah's boyfriend.
Khadijah's boyfriend wilding out here, man.
Right.
But now, ladies and gentlemen, right? It's Scooter with Lightning. But I hate to cut this, man, but I was so glad to have like Frankey on here and CT on here at the same time, and just about a show like because it's good energy. As you can see, everybody was excited. It was really vibrant and stuff like that in here, and so you're gonna get to see that a lot more because, like I said, I do love when especially DC fans get to come in and really be able to have a point to stand because y'all don't have a lot of places where y'all get to talk, and so I was glad. As you can see, that's why I didn't really say much because I kind of turned into a fan. I'm just like, y'all in it. This is amazing. But I want to know what y'all in the audience think, man. What did you think about Blue Beetle? What did you think about the direction that the DCU is going in? Yeah. What you got, Deuce?
We let's give a ranking first. We never gave our ranking on the overall movie. We just went in and talked.
We have no time for that. I have missed it. I had another meeting at 2:00. I had another meeting at 2:00.
We out, man.
No worries. We will definitely get that, man. Appreciate y'all.